Yeah, g'day guys, it's Garth here from Rerode New Zealand again. So thought I'd start a bit of a basic maintenance series for your Rerode, or this can go across to kind of most e-motos. Obviously it'll be specific to Rerode, but again it'll cover other bikes as well. So solid basics. As much as these things are low maintenance, they're not no maintenance. So first thing, which should be pretty simple, is lubing the chain. So chain lube, I personally like the CRC Moto. It's completely up to you. You want these have an O-ring chain, so you do want an O-ring safe chain. Biggest thing I say to people when we're doing this is where you lube it. A lot of times I'll see guys lubing their chain and they're sitting spraying here. And where does all the spray go? Through the spokes, onto the disc, contaminates your pads, and before you know it, you're wondering why your rear brakes aren't working. So what I personally do is get yourself a stand, a bucket, whatever, just so the rear wheel's free. Get the bike so the wheel's going, and I just spray it up here. Obviously top, side, and then I get underneath, spray underneath there. I've actually just recently done that. So anyway, that covers routine maintenance number one. Alright, maintenance number two, chain tension. So with the Rerodes and other brands that you have your sprocket on your pivot point on your swing arm, your chain tension can actually be a fair bit tighter than what you think. Because as your suspension travels through its sweep, because this pivot point and here don't change, whereas normal bikes which have a sprocket up the front of the motor, you can have these fairly tight. This is actually a little bit loose at the moment, so I will go through and do that. Alright, now I've got both hands free. So what you want to do first is loosen off your axle. Don't have to be crazy loose, but loose enough that you can see the swing arm start to kind of take the load off it. Now with my bike is we need a 10mm spanner, which we shall grab here. We undo the locking bolts on each side for the adjuster. I'll see if I can bring it around and show you guys. So we undo the old bolt there, just loosen that off. Now I personally always start on the chain side. So we get in here and we kind of, I usually can count them, so you kind of do one. Oh, that was difficult with one hand. Two, and you just kind of check your chain. So that's getting closer to where I'd like it. Now what I do, I don't trust the marks on the swing arms. I grab a rule and I measure from there to there. I can see that it's, oh, she's just on the cusp of, let's say 19mm. Oh, yep, 20mm. So I'll pop to this side, have a look. So we're at 18mm on that one. So I will adjust kind of 1, 2 again. Measure that. From there to there. Yep, so we're bang on now. And recheck your chain tension. Yeah, that's much better. You can end up with tight spots in your chains, so it is good to do a few rotations, kind of see where it is. I've got a little bit of a tight spot there, but that's still perfectly fine. Now the trick I do is grab a rag, throw it in between your chain and your sprocket, push the wheel forward. And what this does is it tightens up the axle forward, tightens up the chain, and kind of locks everything up. So then grab me ratchet. No, wrong way. Crank that back up. Don't obviously strip it, but fairly tight is good. About there. Cool. And I back it off, rag out, check the tension, about perfect. Then we come through, wind up your nuts, your 10mm in the front here, your pinch ones, and just give them a little bit of a snig. They don't have to be crazy tight. You don't want to be stripping out the aluminium thread on their swing arm. Snugged up. There we go. One tension chain. Alright, so another thing with these bikes is as your brake pads wear down, you'll find you end up getting more and more lever travel before the brake pads bite. What's happening there is the pistons are resetting themselves back in the caliper, and as your pads wear down, they're having to squeeze further and further out, hence more lever travel to bite onto the disc. What I've found with these styles of brakes, what you can do is you can, as your pads get lower, kind of half to 2/3 worn, you can pull the caliper piston off and actually reset the, I suppose it's memory, or reset the position on the pistons, and that'll give you back your lever feel or your lever bite earlier on. Anything past 3/4 worn, I tend to throw pads out. They're not overly big brakes for these bikes, especially for the power and the speed they have, but they do that way to keep the bikes nice and light. So I tend to go anything kind of past 3/4 worn, throw the brake pads out. They're not expensive and it's not worth the risk of them getting hot, and in turn the problem is when they haven't got much meat, they don't disperse the heat as well, so in turn you end up with brake fade, and it's not a nice situation to be in. So these are actually perfectly fine. I did these the other night, but what we'll do is I'll just kind of go through the procedure and I'll show you how you can kind of reset them. Okay, what I've done here is I've already kind of pushed the pistons back to kind of simulate worn out brake pads. So you can see the amount of lever travel before those brakes bite is quite a bit. It's always about there. So what we'll do is take your bolts out, slide your piston off, and you'll be able to see that that gap there is quite large, considering how thin the disc is. So what we'll do is going to be a bit unique. Just one hand, is we will lift the caliper off, grab the brake lever, bump her up kind of once, twice, and you can see that it's settling back a bit further. Maybe another one. You need to obviously leave enough space that you can get the disc back in, but now that that's kind of pumped back up, we'll just quietly squeeze the brake piston back on, the caliper, sorry, and then we'll check it, give it a few squeezes, and now that's where it bites. Much better. I'd say that's probably got rid of half of it. There's probably a little bit more there. There's probably one slightly sticky piston. So what you can do with that is just give them a good couple of how's your fathers, and yeah, so that's biting about there now, which is much better. So the other thing with these discs too, or this type of setup, is when you put your caliper back on, obviously put your bolts in. Come on, there we go. And then what we do is we just don't tighten them up, just nip them until they just start to touch, front and back and front, whatever way you want. Alright, so with that still kind of enough to float, what we tend to do, I'm probably going to put the camera down here, is we pump them up, and what you do is you actually hold it on really tight. What that does is it centers the caliper to the back wheel. A lot of the times too, I'll give the old wheel a bit of a quick spin and kind of redo it again. Hold it tight, tighten those bolts up, and she should be good. Alright, so now that's all tightened up, do the old lever check. There we go. It definitely bites nice and early now. So just a simple thing. I mean, in the perfect world, if your pads are getting low, replace them. They're not expensive. They make the brakes feel so much better with new pads. But yeah. Right, other maintenance things that you can kind of do on these just to make them, keep them in better shape, and obviously tire pressures. I tend to run mine around 20 to 25 psi. I do have a rim lock on the back wheel. When they start getting up in power like the R1 Pluses do, it can be a good idea to put a rim lock in. Most bike shops can do it, or you can buy the rim locks yourself if you're feeling confident. Take it off, drill a hole, and what that does is it just bites the tyre onto the rim, and instead of relying on the bead, it has a clamping force there, which it just means I can run a little bit lower PSI and the real kind of piggy, muddy type stuff. What else can I tell you? Steering gear bearings and forks. If you have a big crash and you find everything's all twisted up, it is a good idea generally on these to pull the front wheel out, loosen up all the triple clamps, let everything settle back in, because it's amazing how things will twist and the suspension will feel a bindy. Yeah, and then basically put it back together. But bar that, there's not a lot to them. Battery maintenance, I'm a firm believer of not storing the bike at 100% for anything more than a couple of days. Don't leave it too low either. The perfect range is between 25 and kind of 70% if you're going to store it for any sort of period of time. But if you charge it up the night before because you want to go for a ride and it rains, or your mates bail on you, or the missus isn't happy, whatever the case may be, it's fine for a few days, but I personally don't like leaving it for much more than kind of 4 or 5 days at 100%. It's just not good for the battery's longevity, and it does kind of increase battery degradation. Much like leaving it too low as well. Like if you come back from a ride and you're down to 10%, ideally the next morning throw it on charge and get it up to kind of 55, 60, whatever the case may be. I personally don't like being above 80 if I'm storing it. Yeah, and bar that, get out and ride them. They're great fun. I love this bike to bits. Yeah, it's fantastic. I think I'm clicking on, how many Ks have I done on old Darlin now? We're looking at 1,200, almost 1,300 Ks. And I have gone and shouted myself a front and rear tyre, and that made a big difference too, especially now that it's getting into winter and she's getting a bit greasier. But anyway, cheers guys. Hope the video helped some of you out. Any questions, just throw them down below. Kind of happy to kind of share knowledge, or what knowledge I have anyway. And yeah, get out and enjoy it. And if you are interested in obviously a Rerode and you're in New Zealand, my website is rerode.co.nz. Kind of all the specs and information about the bikes there. I actually am heading off to China on the 2nd of May to go to an expo. Got a few cool new things getting released, and got plenty of bikes in stock at the moment. Although I must admit they are selling pretty quick, which is great.